Right, in today's video we're going to be putting the JE Forge low compression pistons into the original bobber motor. And I've got several ways of doing this and I'm going to show you them all and let you know which ones work and which ones don't. I've actually had a little bit of a rethink with these rings and I've actually gone up to 20 thou on the top ring, and it's also 20 thou on the bottom ring. The reason the bottom ring is not tighter than the top ring is, I'll get a piston to show you. Hang on, there's no rings on that. Right, so this top ring here, say that's gapped to 20 thousandths when it's closed up like that, and compression gets through there. You don't want this lower ring with a tighter gap than the top ring, because you need this gas what's in there to escape down, not back up. So if compression is getting through this top ring, you don't want it trapped between the two rings, because that's going to force pressure on the rings, and that's what can break the actual ring lands as well. So you want this gap on the bottom ring the same as the top, so that any compression can get out into the crankcase and out through the breather. So I've actually had a bit of a rethink and I've gone 20 thou on the top ring. It's a little bit big for street use, but it's going to get a lot of abuse with 15 psi boost going through it, and it is going to run a lot hotter probably. So to be on the safe side, I'm having large ring gaps to start with. So now I'm going to put these rings, which are my original bobber rings from my high torque motor, onto the new low compression pistons. You probably can't see that on the camera, so I can't even see it looking at it, but on there, marked on there, it says 2T. That has to face upwards, and this is the second ring, so this is the furthest ring down. So I'm going to get this onto the piston. I'm going to put it in the top ring first, then I'm going to work it down into the lower ring. Like that. And then in the manual it actually tells you to put the slots staggered on this edge. I've always done it on this edge. It doesn't really matter because they do turn. Right, and then the top ring, there's actually a chamfered inner edge around there, and that goes to the top. That's how you know you've got the right one there. Eyesight, but yep, that's that one. And we'll get him on here, or her, or it. Don't know what its pronouns are. Don't really care either. Might actually file that up a little bit better. I think there's a burr on there. I haven't cleaned these rings with anything because there's a coating on them and I don't want to disturb anything. So they were working when they come out of the engine, so they're going to be working when they go back in. Right, now we need to get this in that hole there. The way the manual tells you to do it is to actually put the pistons on the con rods in the engine and then lower these barrels down onto the pistons, and then through these grooves here actually manipulate the piston rings up there with screwdrivers. To me that sounds like a whole load of fiddly trouble, and it sounds like things can break. So we're going to do this a more traditional way with a ring compressor. This is the way I do it on VW engines. I put the pistons in the barrels and then I put the barrel and the piston onto the conrod. So I'm going to try that with this. So I'm going to use my ring compressor here. What I'm doing is I'm putting oil around the inside of it so that the piston slides up and down it nicely. I'm also going to put oil on the barrel walls as well. Oh, and also very important, probably the most important place to put it, is in the rings. Right, where was I? I was putting oil on this piston. What happened was the phone actually ran out of memory because I unfortunately own an iPhone. I hate it. I haven't got to go far till my contract runs out in October. Right, so get plenty of oil on that. And what one are we going in? We're going in number 18. So on the original pistons there's a little arrow which points forwards, which is there, look. So that would go that way. So this piston has to go, there's not one on this new piston, so that has to go that way, which makes sense because the exhaust ports are at the front and that's the little valves, and the inlet ports are at the back, which is the big valve. So that makes sense there. So now what I do is I'll get that in there, and I'll get my ring compressor, and I'll tighten it up the right way. Around the rings there. And if you can see that, that's tightened up and squeezed all them rings in. Like that. There you go, and that slides up and down there quite nice. But what I'm going to do now is to actually get it on the engine. I'm going to do what I used to do with the VWs. I'm going to knock that down until I can see the hole for the pin, and we're going to actually put this whole assembly down with the two pistons in it onto the conrods. So let's get the other piston in. Right, well, my ring compressor is not real, it's sort of shit itself, it's too slack now. So what we're going to do is do it the way it says in the manual. Well, not quite, we're going to actually put the piston into the barrel first. So let's flip that up that way, and then that's going to flip up that way. And now we're going to do it from this direction. I've never done this before, so I'll get that a bit better where the camera can see it, I reckon. So I've sort of got them sitting on there. So carefully push that. There's a nice taper on here which helps, I believe. That's actually going in there quite nicely. Push that oil control ring in. There you go, that's in. That's quite easy like that, actually. That's not a bad way of doing it. This other one's popped out. I've brought it too far down, so let's try and do that with this one. Right, they're both in. So now I need to get the pins in a good position so I can lower the whole lot onto the motor. I don't know if that's going to be that feasible, thinking about it now. We'll give it a go. Right, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the pistons in my original bobber motor. I've been putting it off for a few days because I just didn't feel like it, and I know why now, because in there, in my sort of studio stroke workshop, whatever you want to call it, under the house, there's no windows, and I'm a daytime person. I love the sunshine. That's why I live here in Australia. I can't do without it. And so being in there, I don't like being in there when the sun's out. So simple solution, wheel the motor out here into the sunshine, or out near the sunshine where I can be near it. I'll show you what the sunshine looks like here. Look at that. That's beautiful. That's why I don't like being indoors. I didn't like the idea of actually putting the barrels down over the pistons and actually working the piston rings in through these grooves. But now I've decided that is the best way to go, because otherwise I don't think I've got enough space to actually lower this whole lot down onto con rods, and actually I can probably get the pins through all right, but actually to get these little stupid C-clips in is going to be an absolute nightmare, and there's a big risk of me dropping it into the engine, and then I'm going to have to get it out of the sump and all that palaver. So I am going to put the pistons onto the con rods first, and then put the barrels onto the pistons. Pull these right out. Right, so I've got plenty of rag in here to stop these moving about and stop the pistons hitting this and damaging this surface, and two, to stop things falling in there. So these horrible clips, you've just got to sort of work them into the groove. Try not to have them fly across the workshop. Or put a screwdriver 3 fingers, that's the other thing. And once that's in there, make sure it's in all the way around. I really don't trust them, but that's in there. Right, so now we can get this piston in and put the clip in from the outside. So now I just put that piston on there, slide that pin through, until it hits that clip. So now I'll swing him round, and I need to get the clip in this side here. Right, then I'll try and get this clip into this one. Oh, it's getting it. It's in, nearly. Don't know how well you can see that on the camera, but that's not quite in, so I've just got to pop it in until it snaps into its groove. Like that. And I try not to have the gap in this little hole there. So I just make sure it's pushed in all the way. Which it is. So it's not going to come out. Or it's got less chance of coming out. So right, I'll just do that to the other side now too. So this next bit, I need to get the barrels onto the pistons, so I think I might put them both up so they're the same height. Or maybe not actually. Maybe if otherwise I've got to do them both at the same time, haven't I? Let's concentrate on this one first. Got got to get this gasket on before I forget, which will only go on one way, which is that way. I've only got one dowel on it at the moment, the other one's in the barrels, and but I'm going to leave it in there because I don't want to risk damaging it trying to get it out, because it's pretty tight. So I've just got to make sure its gasket's in the right place when I put it all together. Really don't like this. No, I don't like this. It's horrible. This is shit. However, it appears to be going in there. Stay there. Actually goes in there all right. These barrels I think are designed to actually be like piston ring installers as well. So let's bring the other piston up, which means this one's going to go down. This is pretty difficult. This could so easily end in disaster. I'll show you that. That's what you get to this stage, and you've got to try and get this oil ring up there. That's the hardest bit. That's what I'm struggling with at the moment. better pull this timing chain through while I think about it. Holder. Screwdriver do. I believe the rings are all in. That was horrible, but they went in quite easily. I normally edit my videos quite a lot and you don't see the struggle I go through. I might actually leave this one so that you can see some of the struggle, because when I've edited it, it does make it look a lot easier. Just got to get that over that dowel there. That's just a bit tight on a dowel, that's why I'm just tapping that. So right, oh, what did I do that for? Dickhead. Oh, that's easily retrieved. Let's just turn this engine over and make sure they're smooth. Not smooth as silk, that is. Happy with that. Right, that was dragging on a bit, so we're going to end that video there, and in the next video you're going to see me sticking the head on and putting the camshaft in and the rockers and all that good stuff. So if you haven't already subscribed, subscribe and like this video if you want, and comment. I'll get back to you. And if you want to find out the other stuff I do or get in touch with me, then the link to get hold of me is in the description as well. So stay healthy, drink plenty of water, and have a great day.